Sam C. Story time with Ronnie. Yeah, we back. We are back, and we got Journey to the Center of the Earth, part 36. And, yup, we just leaving the Wind Campground again. We got caught by another snowstorm. Heading on the Arizona 260, and we's heading west towards McNairy again. And this is one of those situations where we could have done it and took the shorter route and ended up going up past Lyman Lake. But that road is just too rough, so we'd rather add 2 more hours of time to our, well, it actually doesn't add any time, it just adds some mileage. But as far as time goes, I bet it's, well, I know it's shorter this way because that other road up past Lyman Lake to up that direction is just so rough that you have to go so slow, and then you're all beat up, and everything is beat up when you get there, so it's just no point. Okay, guys, now where we left this thing off, they were on their raft, and they were in the middle of a storm, and they was just going crazy, and Harry wanted it to stop, and the professor was saying, no way, let's go. He was tired of floating around on this inland sea. He wanted to be done with it and have something different at any cost, to crash into the rocks, anything but keep floating around. So we'll kind of pick it up there. Nevertheless, the rain formed a roaring cataract before this horizon of which we were in search, and to which we were rushing like madmen. But before this wilderness of waters reached us, the mighty veil of cloud was torn in twain. Sea began to foam wildly, and the electricity, produced by some vast and extraordinary chemical action in the upper layer of cloud, is brought into play. To the fearful claps of thunder are added dazzling flashes of lightning, such as I have never seen. The flashes crossed one another, hurled from every side, while the thunder came pealing like an echo. The mass of vapor becomes incandescent. The hailstones which strike the metal of our boots and our weapons are actually luminous. The waves, as they rise, appear to be fire-eating monsters, beneath which seethes an intense fire, their crests surmounted by combs of flame. My eyes are dazzled, blinded by the intensity of light. My ears are deafened by the awful roar of the elements. I am compelled to hold on to the mast, which bends like a reed beneath the violence of the storm, to which none ever before seen by mariners bore any resemblance. Here, my traveling notes become very incomplete, loose and vague. I have only been able to make out 1 or 2 fugitive observations, jotted down in a more mere mechanical way. But even their brevity, even their obscurity, show the emotions which overcame me. Let's take a look. Oh, yes. We eventually lose the snow, and then it's all sudden nice and green, a sunny day you never even knew. Sunday, August 25th. Where have we got to? In what region are we wandering? We are still carried forward with inconceivable rapidity. The night has been fearful, something not to be described. The storm shows no signs of cessation. We exist in the midst of an uproar which has no name. The detonations, as of artillery, are incessant. Our ears literally bleed. We are unable to exchange a word or hear each other speak. The lightning never ceases to flash for a single instant. I can see the zigzags after a rapid dart strike the arched roof of this mightiest of mighty vaults. If it were to give way and fall upon us, other lightnings plunge their forked streaks in every direction and take the form of globes of fire, which explode like bombshells over a beleaguered city. The general crash and roar do not apparently increase. Wait a second. The general crash and roar do not apparently increase. It has already gone far beyond what human ear can appreciate. If all the powder magazines in the world were to explode together, it would be impossible for us to hear worse noise. There is a constant emission of light from the storm clouds. The electric matter is incessantly released. Evidently, the gaseous principles of the air are out of order. Innumerable columns of water rush up like water spouts and fall back upon the surface of the ocean in foam. Whither are we going? My uncle still lies at full length upon the raft, without speaking, without taking any note of time. The heat increases. I look at the thermometer. To my surprise, it indicates the exact figure is here rubbed out in my manuscript. It indicates, the exact figure is here rubbed out in my manuscript. Oh, the uncle must have got to it. Monday, August 26. This terrible storm will never end. Why should not this state of the atmosphere, so dense and murky, once modified, again remain definitive? We are utterly broken and harassed by fatigue. Hans remains just as usual. The raft runs to the southeast invariably. We have now already run 200 leagues from the newly discovered island. About 12 o'clock, the storm became worse than ever. We are obliged now to fasten every bit of cargo tightly on the deck of the raft, or everything would be swept away. We tie ourselves to the mast, each man lashing the other. The waves drive over us, so that several times we are actually underwater. We had been under the painful necessity of abstaining from speech for 3 days and 3 nights. We opened our mouths, we moved our lips, but no sound came. Even when we placed our mouths to each other's ears, it was the same. The wind carried the voice away. My uncle once contrived to get his head close to mine. After several almost vain endeavors, he appeared to me nearly exhausted senses to articulate some word. I had a notion, more from intuition than anything else, that he had said to me, "We are lost." I took out my notebook, from which under the most desperate circumstances I never pardoned, and wrote a few words as legibly as I could. "Take the sail." With a deep sigh, he nodded his head and acquiesced. His head had scarcely time to fall back in the position from which he had momentarily raised it, than a disc, a ball of fire, appeared on the very edge of our raft. Our doomed craft. The mast and sail are carried away bodily, and I see them swept away to a prodigious height like a kite. We were frozen, actually shivered with terror. The ball of fire half white, half azure colored, about the size of a 10-inch bombshell, moved along, turning with prodigious rapidity to leeward of the storm. It ran about here, there, and everywhere. It clambered up one of the bulwarks of the raft. It leaped upon the sack of provisions, and then finally descended lightly, like a football, and landed on our powder barrel. Uh-oh. That can't be good. Let's take a look at this little drive for a second. Oh boy, yeah. And we're on our way. Actually, I think we're on our way up to Colorado, where we stay at the Mancus RV park there. I think we already did that one. Okay. Powder barrel. Horrible situation. An explosion, of course, was now inevitable. By heaven's mercy, it is not so. The dazzling disc... My book is falling apart. Okay, the dazzling disc moves on one side. It approaches Hans, who looked at it with singular fixity. Then it approached my uncle, who cast himself on his knees to avoid it. It came towards me as I stood pale and shuddering in the dazzling light and heat. It pirouetted round my feet, which I endeavored to withdraw. An odor of nitrous gas filled the whole air. It penetrated to the throat, to the lungs. I felt ready to choke. Why is it that I cannot withdraw my feet? Are they riveted to the flooring of the raft? No. The fall of the electric globe has turned all the iron on board into lodestones. The instruments, the tools, the arms are clanging together with awful and horrible noise. The nails of my heavy boots adhere closely to the plate of iron encrusted in the wood. I cannot withdraw my foot. It is the old story over again of the mountain of adamant. At last, by a violent and almost superhuman effort, I tear it away just as the ball, which is still executing its gyratory motions, is about to run around it and drag me with it. Oh, what intense, stupendous light! The globe of fire bursts. We are enveloped in cascades of living fire, which flood the space around with luminous matter. Then all went out, and darkness once more fell upon the deep. I had just time to see my uncle once more, cast apparently senseless on the floor of the raft. Hans at the helm, spitting fire under the influence of the electricity which seemed to have gone through him. Whither are we going, I ask, and echo answers, whither? Tuesday, August 27th. I have just come out of a long fainting fit. The awful and hideous storm still continues. The lightning has increased its vividness and pours out its fiery wrath like a brood of serpents let loose in the atmosphere. Are we still upon the sea? Yes, and being carried along with incredible velocity. We have passed under England, under the Channel, under France, probably under the whole extent of Europe. Another awful clamor in the distance. This time, it is certain that the sea is breaking upon the rocks at no great distance. Then, that's the end of the chapter. Whew. That's the end of the chapter. Wow, that's like a 4-day storm already. Okay, let's take a look, and we'll take a look at chapter 33. Our route reversed. Here ends what I call my journal of our voyage on board the raft, which journal was happily saved from the wreck. I proceed with my narrative as I did before I commenced my daily notes. What happened when the terrible shock took place, when a raft was cast upon the rocky shore, it would be impossible for me to say now. I felt myself precipitated violently into the boiling waves, and if I escaped from a certain and cruel death, it was wholly owing to the determination of the faithful Hans, who clutched me by the arm, saved me from the yawning abyss. The courageous Icelander then carried me in his powerful arms far out of the reach of the waves, and laid me down upon a burning expanse of sand, where I found myself some time afterwards in the company of my uncle, the professor. Then he quietly returned toward the fatal rocks, against which the furious waves were beating, in order to save any stray waifs from the wreck. This man was always practical and thoughtful. I could not utter a word. I was quite overcome with emotion. My whole body was broken and bruised with fatigue. It took hours before I was anything like myself. Meanwhile, there fell a fearful deluge of rain, drenching us to the skin. Its very violence, however, proclaimed the approaching end of the storm. Some overhanging rocks afforded us a slight protection from the torrents. Under this shelter, Hans prepared some food, which, however, I was unable to touch, and exhausted by the 3 weary days and nights of watching, we fell into a deep and painful sleep. My dreams were fearful, but at last exhausted nature asserted her supremacy, and I slumbered. Next day, when I awoke, the change was magical. The weather was magnificent. Air and sea, as if by mutual consent, had regained their serenity. Every trace of the storm, even the faintest, had disappeared. I was saluted on my awakening by the first joyous tones I had heard from the professor for many a day. His gaiety, indeed, was something terrible. "Well, my lad," he cried, rubbing his hands together, "have you slept soundly?" Might it not have been supposed that we were in the old house of the Koningsstrasse? That I had just come down quietly to my breakfast, and that my marriage with Gretchen was to take place that very day? My uncle's coolness was exasperating. Alas, considering how the tempest had driven us in an easterly direction, we had passed under the whole of Germany, under the city of Hamburg, where I had been so happy, under the very street which contained all I loved and cared for in the world. I was a positive fact that I was only separated from her by a distance of 40 leagues. But these 40 leagues were of hard, impenetrable granite. All these dreary and miserable reflections passed through my mind before I attempted to answer my uncle's question. All right, let's take a look at this drive, because, yeah, we's rolling along, and this is just, I can't say it enough times about how much I like this area up here. And as we just come down, we probably came down maybe 1,000 feet, and that's all it took to get rid of the snow. And, it's all of a sudden, it's just a beautiful day again. Okay, impenetrable granite. All these dreary and miserable reflections passed through my mind before I attempted to answer my uncle's question. "Why, what is the matter?" he cried. "Cannot you say whether you have slept well or not?" "I have slept very well," was my reply, "but every bone in my body aches. I suppose that will lead to nothing. Nothing at all, my boy. It is only the result of the fatigue of the last few days, that is all. You appear, if I may be allowed to say so, to be very jolly this morning, I said. Delighted, my dear boy, delighted. I was never happier in my life. We have at last reached the wished-for port. The end of our expedition? Cried I, in a tone of considerable surprise. Every time that Harry's like, oh, it's over. No, it ain't over. No, but to the confines of that sea which I began to fear would never end. But go round the whole world? Would never end, but go around the whole world. We will now tranquilly resume our journey by land, and once again endeavor to dive into the center of the earth. That's probably enough for now, guys. That's probably enough for now. Thank you so much for coming along. And boy, it's getting exciting again. We'll get a little further down the road next time. Let's just do this other thing here. Sam C. And right there is the spider that ended the career of the clamshell enclosure. And it's not like it's a big deal. It's just we just never got another chance to use it yet. And that was just the last time we used it. And when we went to put it together, there was a giant spider there. All right, Rosie. Oh yes. That just okay. You go, big girl. You go.